This is heavy. So we good to go? Well, hello everyone. Good evening. This is a special edition on 810 News Media. It has been reported that, but first of all, I'm Tonya Burns. I guess I should say that first. And if you are tuning in, do me a favor, give us some likes. I'm going to start sharing it on some of the platforms myself. And I thought I had that already up, Mickey. Trying to get it ready, but I guess I need to go back in to do it. Okay. This is a special edition of 810. Mickey. That's why I don't have no. I don't do technical like that. that's not my. That's not my forte. So if you on, please do me a favor. Click like and share. Please click like and share. And I'm gonna go back in on this because I'm gonna give some good information. This special edition will be only pertaining to the budget. Just the Flint City Council. We were to pass a budget last night. Um, we did not pass the budget, and so we're going to talk about um, what happened last night and how do we where do we go from here, and how does this affect people? How do we get past it? So I'm clicking a lot. Um, Please bear with me a moment because I want to make sure um, I get it into um, get it to where it needs to go. I think I'm getting old. My eyes are not what they used to be. Not at all. It is a beautiful evening out there. So if you are out there, enjoying the weather, enjoying your family and friends, that's what you're supposed to be doing. That is what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to start with, oh, goodness. I'm going to start with the budget. The first Monday of every June, the city council has to pass a budget. We are required to pass a budget to its budget adoption. Yesterday, June 5th, was the first Monday, and we were to pass a budget. That did not happen. So I've received several calls from some journalists, TV stations asking, hey, what happened? And what happens next since Flint did not pass the budget? So we are in violation per the city charter because we did not. We didn't pass the budget. There were 8 people who were present at our budget hearing for the council, our budget adoption, I'm sorry, and one person which was absent, which was the president of the city council, Allie Herkenroder. She was not in attendance. The meeting was adjourned and it will pick back up on Thursday. I don't have the time. I'm assuming it's going to be 5:30 again, where we pick it back up. But I'm going to start with this. Mickey is my technical person. So I appreciate him coming in so that I could get some clarity for residents with what's going on. So he's going to be putting up the slides for me so that I want everyone to have a clear understanding because our budget process has somewhat changed a little bit. Um, as to how some of the things are getting done. So I'm going to have Mickey, if you could put up the first slide, would be the budget, which is on page 61. Okay, and so on page 6, Article 7 at the top, finance, and it says the budget. And if you go down to 4, section 4, it states on or before the first Monday. Oh no, that's a different one. I'm sorry. Go down to 5. Listen. No. That's me. On or before the first Monday, that's when we're supposed to adopt the budget, or the mayor's supposed to submit. But underneath the Article 7, it tells us that that first Monday, Underneath there, we are to adopt a budget per the city charter. So yesterday was our, by midnight, we should have had a budget adopted. We did not do that. We did not. City Council was unable for numerous reasons, which were out of our control, to adopt a budget. So here we are. So the news people were calling. They want to know what happened, what's going on. We have the administration, and then we have the executive branch, and then the legislative branch, and so we all have to work together. So we had budget hearings the past, I want to say, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and some of our budget hearings weren't scheduled to where we had enough time to even hear certain departments. We didn't have time for finance and some other departments because the time had run out, and the schedule was not prepared correctly to allot enough time for all of those departments to be held. That part would fall upon our finance chair to make sure we were able to hear and to ask the questions. What we did not have for the very first time was any working sessions for the budget. We didn't have not one working session, which means by the time we came to the budget adoption, we should have had all our questions answered. We should have been able to propose some amendments. It should have been like a boom, 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 enroll so we could get in, get out, and not be in violation of the charter. That didn't happen. We didn't have one working session. Our budget hearings were very limited to where we would have we had like 8 departments to be heard in a 2.5 hour period. That had never, ever been done before. Not ever, because it's very lengthy. We go into what are their projections, what is it that they need, and all 9 council people would have an opportunity to ask questions and to represent their ward with questions or issues that maybe we need to change some things, amend things before the day for budget adoption. So, and that's per the Flint City, charter. We have the budget hearing, and then there's the budget adoption. But it's changed slightly. One of the issues that we had yesterday was on our end with the council, we did not have, I feel, the budget hearings weren't adequately scheduled, which I said during every budget hearing, we needed more time. And we had no working sessions to work that out. The other part, which was surprising to me, was there was some unpreparedness on the administration side. We did not have all of the department heads there to answer questions, which at every budget hearing before that had been done. Not just that, there was a question that when you're there, it's different, but when you hear it over, it's something that's, you hear it differently. They didn't have, the question was asked, what is the ARPA budget? How much do we have left in ARPA? And the administration, our CFO Jane, and she's the acting or interim CFO, and she's very transparent. She will answer your questions, and she will always get back with you. And Jane said she didn't know. And then I asked the city administrator, and he didn't know. Now we're at budget time, and according to the auditors, we should be bringing all budgets. That would be everything that's for our general fund, our grants budget, and our ARPA budget. We did not have the person who does um, our ARPA budget. I'm going to say, who's processing our ARPA budget, which would be Lottie Ferguson. She wasn't there to answer questions, and so we had some issues. Also, I had sent in questions about the ARPA budget prior May 24th, and I don't have I had put the email up, and you go back on my podcast on my page, and it's on there. I did request on May 24th a meeting. I had questions about the ARPA budget. So before June 5th, I was stating my questions, which was a long enough time to answer those questions. I got an email back stating that any and all questions that I have will require for me to have an in-person meeting per Clyde Edwards, because I was asking questions about the budget. I believe we are supposed to be transparent and truthful and clear for the public. When we are presenting what's happening with this budget adoption, anything with the budget and finances, we should be transparent. It's not our money, it's the city's money. And therefore, we all have responsibility to be transparent. So, as this process has changed, this administration is not following the normal process on how budget adoption is being done. And that has raised many issues and flags. Last year, when we had budget adoption, not one single person from the mayor's administration showed up. Not one. Not the city administrator, not the chief finance officer, the CFO, not any department head. There was no one there. That was the first time in Flint's history that we didn't have anyone that was there. Unheard of. The very first time. So it prompted then our city clerk, who retired, Miss Inez Brown, who had been at the city for 30 years, to make a statement. And her statement was rather profound as we were going through the budget process because she was concerned. She was concerned how the budget process was going, and she she voiced her opinion. So, Mickey, if you can bring that up, because there's a video, and I don't want to use my words. We're going to listen to what Miss Inez Brown stated because she had some concerns. She had some concerns, and so did I, because I won't kick the can down the road when we have issues that I know that we need to deal with. And one was our pension fund last year, and guess what? That pension fund is still a question this year. I do know that here we go. The clerk has something to say, and so you have the floor, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. My statement here at this point in time,
Hold on, audience,
as in the past,
because I don't see it on the screen.
Political standpoint. It's from a public policy standpoint. I have been here since 1997 as the clerk, and I've worked through a number of councils, probably 10. And this is the first time that I have seen whereby the administration was not involved with respect to coming to the latter meeting.
Can we start it over?
Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to get it to the screen.
Everyone, thanks for bearing with me. But I want to make sure we're factual because, when I'm getting these calls, my promise when I ran was to be transparent. And I'm going to continue to be transparent. That's not going to change with me. So we got a little bit of difficulty.
I do know that our city clerk has something to say. Let me share the screen.
So for those who are just tuning in, we did not pass the budget, adopt the budget. There will be another meeting on Thursday. And I encourage. Are we ready? I do know that our city clerk has something to say, and so you have the floor, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. My statement here at this point in time, as in the past, is not from a political standpoint. It's from a public policy standpoint. I have been here since 1997 as the clerk, and I've worked through a number of councils.
Hey, Mickey.
10. And this is the first time that I have seen whereby the administration was not involved with respect to coming to the latter meeting that we had the other night. Whether they agreed with what council was doing or whether they disagreed. So the charter does indicate that, but it does it maybe in a roundabout way. But anytime a budget is about to be adopted by the city council, someone from the administration must be here to answer and address any questions that may come up in the interim. I was angry last night myself, I have to say that. Not only from a public policy standpoint as the clerk, but as Inez Brown, as a citizen of this community, all of my life practically. There was absolutely no reason for the administration not to have been represented here last night to answer the questions, the many questions that council needed to have answers to. And to the credit of the city council, Last night they did adopt a budget. They adopted you all's budget. But I think moving forward, whether I'm here or not, any at any point in time, when a budget of this magnitude, the annual budget has to be adopted, there must be representation from the mayor's office. There must be representation because there was absolutely no reason last night for that not to happen. I'm getting calls myself from people throughout the community. Received calls last night as well as text during the meeting itself as to where's the administration. So I think it's important moving forward that these kind of things are addressed in an appropriate fashion. The other thing I wanted to respond to as it relates to what Mr. Edwards indicated, the departmental hearings that were held was in conjunction with whatever departments you all have. We always have departmental hearings for every budget. There's never been a time when we did not have hearings. It is not necessary for all of the entire council to show up at the hearings, but I would have to give this council credit, this particular council, and I'm not trying to do anything to applaud them, I'm just saying I will give them all credit for coming to every meeting that was held. If they couldn't arrive, they would call and indicate why they couldn't be here. But at the same time, they would seek the information that may have been given out at that particular meeting. So I think council is due some credit at this point in time for trying to do the right thing and to work very closely with the administration. But moving forward, the administration must get back on board and do things the way they have been done in the past, even prior to my arrival in '97. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you like to respond, or Mr. Whittigan? No. Mr. Edwards, you have the floor, sir.
No, we have nothing to add to this.
Okay. Okay, so at the end of our city clerk speaking, as the city clerk and as a private citizen, she stated that she had been at the city since 1997, and she had never been through a budget meeting when no one showed up from the administration. And it has always been department heads would be at the meetings in case there was a question. We had, again, department heads who weren't there. This administration was not prepared to answer questions and did not and could not answer some of the questions because they weren't prepared. So questions were, and I'm gonna get into some of those, Mickey. When department heads are missing, you can't answer. Certain questions can't be answered. Key department heads. Nope, not that one. It's going to be, I think, an orange. And so when department heads aren't there, and we know that police, crime, homicides, unsolved cases, those are reasons why you need department heads. We had a witness who was supposed to be, we have a witness protection program that we funded from the ARPA, and the police Chief Green, was not there. Yep, that's the one. So the department heads, I don't see it back up. Okay. Okay. You can take me completely off from doing it. Yeah. So the department heads that were not there in the budget adoption meeting yesterday was the police department. We know that we need the police department with the the issues with homicides, crime, traffic calls, time that we have to wait if there's an accident. We had a witness protection program that we gave from the ARPA. We gave funds from the ARPA, 300,000, and the 300,000, was for that, to put witnesses to help solve these cases who normally wouldn't come forward. And Chief Green was not there at the budget adoption. One witness last week was murdered. He was killed. And now they have to let the person go free because they killed the witness. And so there were questions that I had and other council members had that couldn't be answered, because do we need to take from ARPA to put more to amend the budget? We couldn't answer that question because Chief Green wasn't there to be able for us to ask the question. The blight department, the one thing people say, Flint, the blight department, we got to do our work. Arnold Brown is the blight manager. Arnold works very hard, and he works very hard, and his department works very hard. And there were some questions that they had about blight. Questions came up with NSOs writing the tickets for with that, along with blight and cleanup. We had no one from the blight department there. The fire chief did not stay the entire time. He was in and out. He did not stay. There was a on the agenda. There was a millage rate, resolution 230163, adoption operating millage of 1910, city of Flint real and personal property, that there was a millage, but the tax assessor was not there. We had the recover resilience. That would be Lottie Ferguson. There's questions regarding how is ARPA going to be issued out? What is in ARPA? What monies and what funds do we have available in ARPA? Lottie Ferguson wasn't there. Our streets and maintenance, Rod Magaha. We had questions about that. Questions about, people have saying if there's some streets which are, may need some more work. Do we need to put more funds into that? Do we need to move money from ARPA? ARPA questions could not and were not answered. And it's on the video with Spectacle TV. They weren't answered because they did not know when we asked how much was in ARPA funds. What is the balance? What has been spent? They could not answer that. We don't have a DPW. We didn't even get that far in it. Questions about the DPW. Why would we have questions about the DPW? One, the 8,500 service restorations and service lines. How are we going to pay for that? Are we going to have to use that to come out of ARPA funds? So we have very real questions. And economic development director, we found out last night that our new I asked the city administrator, because this administration is not transparent. They hired and it did pass. I put a reconsideration on it because I want to know more about Emily Dorr. They did not put her contract. It shouldn't have passed without having a contract. Contracts are approved by city council. They never gave city council the contract. They never gave it to us. And I had questions. Not one of my colleagues had seen the contract, and they had questions. So when we talk about, let me back this up. I'm going to go back to that contract. And that contract and that budget, they're asking for two more deputies, department heads, to go under Emily Dorr. My question was, where is that money coming from? We're getting two more people underneath that department. Emily is taking Suzanne's place. Suzanne, she left the city, she retired. So we didn't have the customer service there. Customer service is where you go pay your water bill. When you first walk in to the city hall, it's to the left. Everyone's been in that department. Amanda Trujillo, she wasn't there. So we couldn't ask questions because they had nobody there. So when we talk about a budget and transparency, the administration came for the second year since I have been on this council unprepared, and they weren't transparent. They weren't transparent. That to me is a problem. And I wanted to be very clear that the Emily Doors, I don't Emily is a lovely person, but there's the business of the city where I would like to know, where is the service severance package coming from? Where are we taking the deputies from? This is budget time. We have to figure out how we're going to pay the people and pay the bills for the city. The pension came up last night again, which I've been talking about it. We were told that we were supposed to get the pension infusion. I will not be the one to tell retirees who have worked for the city and police, fire, any job that you work for, DPW in the city, and tell you you're not going to get your pension. And I didn't ask the questions that needed to be asked. I have been asking about that. We were supposed to get that money. It was under the assumption with the articles. We thought we were going to get it last year, that the money was in the bank. I asked again at the meeting last night. Jane, the acting interim CFO, stated, we just applied for it last Friday. Last Friday. So why wasn't it applied for to offset this budget? Last year, Flint had a $426 million pension liability. $426 million pension liability. And with that liability, we all thought by the articles, it would be added in there, that it would be added into this budget. They just applied for it Friday. She said, and hopefully we'll hear something by August, but we're not for sure. The max that we're going to get for that is probably, and we can only ask for 170. Okay, well, thank you, Jane, for being transparent, because Jane's just the acting. This is just, she's new. She worked up under Robert Whittigan, our former CFO who left. He's no longer with the city. So when we talk about this administration coming unprepared, council couldn't pass a budget when the administration wasn't prepared to answer questions. They didn't have Emily Doris' contract, so we could go over it. We asked the city administrator. He didn't have it. We asked him, well, can you get it from our HR, Mr. Eddie Smith? I'll check to see. And then they were like scrambling. Then we said, okay, well, can we just table this? I think Councilman Pfeiffer said, let's just table it. Or one of my colleagues did. And so we agreed to table it. We never got the contract. We never got the contract. This is not the way to do business and be transparent with the residents. But when it comes to that pension for those retirees, we need some answers. Because if that money is not put in there, like we were told last year, starting in March, April, May, June, July, we have to start making payments to the pension fund at approximately $40 million per year, which our budget for this year was $66 million. So if we're making a $40 million payment for the pension and we only have $16 million left, we got some problems. We're going to be secretly put right back into insolvency and emergency manager. And that I am concerned about, because this administration came unprepared. If we don't have that pension pension bailout, Flint's going to have to go into bankruptcy, insolvency. It's going to be back in emergency management. So I truly thought it would be in there last year by all the articles. So I think I sent you, Mickey, the articles. One is going to be the Flint Beat article, and there's the M Live article.
Which one you want?
Let's put up the Flint Beat.
Oh, got you. 1 second. Is this
Now these, that's it. So when we talk about this pension in the budget, it's serious. Start at but go scroll the other way. At the top of, now this is May 3rd. This is May 13th, 2022. No problem. May 13th. This is last year. So we've been talking about this well over a year. Well over a year, we have been talking about the pension, and before that, and the seriousness of it. So this isn't new. Okay, and I'm gonna start reading the title. Okay, there it goes. This is Flint Beat, May 3rd, article by Amy Diaz, great reporter. She's no longer with Flint Beat, but she was a great journalist. Okay, Flint needs $250 million in cash for rising pension costs to avoid insolvency. Chief Financial Officer warns. And at that time, it was Robert Whittigan. Scroll down for me.
Stop right there.
Yep. So, Flint, Michigan, without a significant influx of cash, upwards of $200 million to put towards its pension system, the city of Flint could face insolvency. Chief Financial Officer Robert Whittigan issued this warning during a budget hearing on May 12th, where he gave a presentation with representatives from the Municipal Employees Retirement System (MERS) as the MERS about the city's severely unfunded pension liability. Without a cash infusion from the state, I cannot sit here today. You dropped it off.
Oh my God. Oh, I got the wrong one. Here we go.
Okay, yeah, if you can scroll down, you had it up.
I got you. I'm scroll down for you right now.
Okay. Without a cash infusion from the state, I cannot sit here today and assure you that there will be assets on hand to pay for future pensions to current and future City of Flint retirees, Whittigan said. This is in Flint Beat. You took it off, Mickey.
Yeah, it took me off. I got you.
Did it knock you off?
Yeah,
So when we talk about the seriousness of this, the problems that I'm seeing, is that it? Okay. It said, this is not a new issue, Whittigan said, and named deindustrialized civilization. You moving it. Deindustrialization, reduced state funding, population decline, and emergency manager mismanagement are contributing factors in the city's financial struggles. Flint's pension fund obligations, which were $21 million in 2018, are projected to be $32 million in 2023 and $40 million by 2024. $40 million. Whittigan said the city's average general fund balance is around $55 million or $56 million. So it varies in between that. So having a payment of nearly $40 million for pension costs alone is not sustainable, Whittigan said. Even making annual pension contributions of $32 million is a tough stretch for the city. Okay, so we thought this money was supposed to be there. So I'm asking questions about the pension. I am the only council member that Clyde Edwards, the city administrator, is saying she has to, for any and all questions, make an appointment to come and talk. No, we can talk in the open meeting forum, Open Meetings Act. This is the people's money. How many retirees I know who worked and did their duty for the city? That pension money they just applied, because I've been asking questions Friday. It should have been applied and asked for before our budget so that we could have, we would know what's going on. What are our real pension costs? I don't know. So when we talk about questions and that are coming here, they're playing move the shell, and we shouldn't be doing that. Residents deserve a true answer. And this isn't happening. We didn't get anything. We haven't gotten anything into that pension fund. Those aren't my words. That was the former CFO. And by the way, he quit. He's gone. We have a problem retaining people in the city of Flint. We have a serious problem. They get here, they see how difficult some of the finances, are and the working environment. Within the last, let's put up how many people have left, because we're losing our talent. And I worked at City Hall in economic development, and I know a lot of these people, and I'm still friends with a lot of them. And a lot of them will still come and say, hey, Tonya, this is what's going on, or I'm concerned about this. So let's put up, it's going to be in the red. So when we talk about running the city, we have to have good and qualified people with talent. Yep, it's a different slide. We have to have, it was right before that orange one you put up. It's in the red. We have to have key talent who will help us and who will stay. One of the issues that a lot of people complain about is
you said in the red. I'm trying to figure what would be the name of that
Probably people who left.
Key department. Okay.
Key
No,
department
let me
heads.
see.
So we
Was
have
it
to have
just
the
on?
talent. Right now, we have no
What is
DPW
that?
director. And so that worries me because as it gets hot, that water stays stagnant at the end of the end of the lines. It also worries me because we got Scripps News here doing articles saying, why haven't we completed our service lines? Our service lines are not complete. We have people here asking, what are the restorations? I get calls every day. I was on a call today and someone said, what are you, the council person for every ward? Because you answer your phone. I was on two phones at the same time. So when we talk about, people got concerns, I need my driveway repaired where they tore it up to replace the service line. I haven't had my service line replaced or even checked. I need my grass restored. So restorations, those things aren't done. What happened to our wind funds? That would be the responsibility of the accountants and our DPW director. We do not have a DPW director. When we don't have one, it defaults to the city administrator, who by trade and profession is not a Department of Public Works specialist or has the licensing for water quality to run the water plant or any of those special licenses. So let's look at this list. And this was just off the top of my head. People who have left the city of Flint, who were talented and took their talent to another municipality for various reasons, who did not stay. Number one, Rob Benzick. He was the former DPW director. He had a $36,000 capacity building grant, which was given by the Mott Foundation. He left because Mayor Sheldon Neely refused to give it to him anymore. It was given to him to make sure we continued to keep him on the projects. Rob has a lot of talent. Guess whose water quality is going up where he's at? Theirs is, ours is going down. As in the Scripps article, the Scripps report, they stated the real news. They stated that we have had a lead increase. And we looked at the lead reports. Some of the lead reports were stating there were some addresses. One was 3 times the legal rate of 3,100. 1,300 is the max. And there was another one that was over 1,300, which means some pipes are leaching lead into the water with the lead copper rule. Rob Benzick left because he was not given a $36,000 capacity building grant that he had been receiving for the prior 3 years, and it did not. Mayor Neely would not give it back to him, and he left. That's one of his reasons. He had time to retire. He said he would be losing money, and he went to another municipality, which we need Rob Benzick back because we have nobody. Mike Brown came in. After he replaced Rob Benzick. We didn't have a DPW director for 6 months. When I asked why have we not had a boil water advisory, Flint averaged since Rob Benzick left. Flint averages 250 water mains per year. After that, and also I asked the question of when we have these water main breaks, are they doing BAC T test, which is a bacteriological test? Mike Brown was hired within like a week. Suzanne Wilcox, she left and retired. Brian Larkin, he was chief of staff. Suzanne was over planning and development. DeVarrell Murdoch, he was the deputy chief. Marjorie Raymer, she was the chief communications officer. She's gone. When Marjorie left, we had Kiana Towns. She was a communications manager. We had Billy Mitchell. She was working. She was she was a navigator manager. Police Chief Phil Hart, a very good friend of mine. Chief Phil Hart left and went to Genesee Township. Um, you also have Deputy Chief Bernritter. I believe he's with Oakland County. Fire Chief Barton stated on record he would not lie about the fire on Pulaski Street. He is now suing the city for $10 million for I believe, a wrongful termination because he stated he was told to lie about the fire on Pulaski Street where 2 little children lost their lives. Deputy Fire Chief Carrie Edwards, she's gone. She was given an option to go back down to her prior job, where she would lose pay. She retired, but it was an offset because she was friends with Chief Barton. Chief Legal Attorney Angela Wheeler, she left. She was our chief legal attorney. Attorney William Bosner, he left. Harold Millhouse, he left. Shelby Frayer, the chief financial officer, she left. Robert Whittigan, the CFO, he left. Lindsay Crawford, blight specialist, she left. Dr. Tia Lewis in the HR department, she left. Whitney Brewster, HR department, she left. Raul Garcia, blight manager, he left. Land Bank picked him up because he has done so much for the community and helping and working. They were happy to get him that Flint let him go. Which was a sad day for Flint. Chad Zudell, building and permit manager, he left. John Daly, street maintenance, he left. He went to, I believe, Lapeer. Calfani Stevens, he left. He went to Pontiac. He was economic development director. Melissa Brown, communications manager, she left. Joyce McLean, she was purchasing director. She left. She left because she said she would not do anything unethical. She was asked to, and so she turned in her resignation for refusal to do something she felt was unethical. Eric Scorsoni, he left. Samantha Fountain, she replaced Calfani Stevens. She was economic development manager. She left. Jim Durian, economic development director. He left. Kazi, planning, development, zoning. She left. And so when people wonder about planning, they're short staffed in that department. So key talent cannot work with this administration. Key talent will not stay in the city of Flint because they cannot work with this administration. That is a problem. They came to a budget hearing last night unprepared, and they should have been prepared. So when we talk about the auditors, like I said, have stated, when you do a budget, you are to bring all funds, all streams of revenue are to be brought to budget adoption. We didn't have that. We didn't know what the ARPA budget, we don't even know what the ARPA amount is left. We don't even know everything that the ARPA was spent on. And we don't know all of grants. We talked about the budget hearing, the schedule, which was some issues. So we talked about the reconsideration, which was brought, where we never got that contract back from the question, which was for our new, it passed, but it had to be reconsideration for Emily Dorr. And I just believe we have to be transparent. And I like Emily. I have no issues, but I think as my colleagues, everyone is supposed to, we don't come in the back door when you work for a public municipality, bring her down the front. Let's highlight her and showcase her, how great she is and her talent is. She was key in helping to get the zoning maps, key dealing with some of those. And so she knows, she's worked for the city prior, and there were just some questions. But the real question, where are we going to get, for me, the two deputies? And when I asked that question, I never got an answer from this administration. And my questions were asked 2 weeks prior to budget adoption. I tried to get them answered. So last night, one of the issues when we talk about moving money, Councilman Murphy brought up Clark Commons. He said, all the money that comes in here, we got almost $1 billion came in here, and that none of that money went to the north side or to people who needed it, people with lower income. He wanted to take $300,000 and move it over to give it to Habitat for Humanity, because Habitat for Humanity is now telling people that they don't have money. But when we talked to the person, Mr. Kevin Miller, I believe was his name, because we don't have, Suzanne has quit since then. He said that they had a year in a hole. So and then we asked the city administrator, which means in the absence of the planning and development director, the city administrator is now the planning and development director. And so Clyde Edwards did not have an answer for that. So anytime there's a job or a vacancy, because he's their boss, he automatically, that falls underneath his threshold. He couldn't answer that question. So Mr. Murphy could not get when it was voted on, we were still unclear to some issues with, can we take that money from from Clark Commons and move it over and or can we take something from ARPA to move over to Habitat? Did Habitat even apply? Because that was the bigger. Did Habitat even apply? And guess what? We don't know. There's no transparency. There's no transparency with this administration. So one of the other questions was we talked about, we didn't even get it, we couldn't get into it, was with the police chief. The question was because we put in ARPA funds, 300,000 came from ARPA funds that City Council voted on back March, I want to October the 24th, because I worked on it with Chief Green. I worked on this with him and some other projects, and so he didn't even realize that, hey, you got money over there, Council. We gave you 300,000. So then there was $100,000 grant, the $100,000 grant. So there was 400,000 for this witness protection program, but we have a witness who got killed. Did you hear me? A witness got killed. So there were questions that we had. Why wasn't he put in the witness protection program? Do you need more? When I first talked to Chief Green about it a year and a half ago, we stated a minimum of 500,000. We need to start that program and get these people in it. Let's get these back cases solved when people need to talk. He talked about some of the things that they may need. May need just some more money to travel, money to relocate, whatever it was. We had a witness, and we have a, I guess, semi-funded, underfunded, we don't know, program, and a witness got killed. And Police Chief Green was not at the meeting. When you allow department heads to not be at the meeting, okay, Chief Green, we understand the urgency. You need $1 million, and we got ARPA funds and it's in compliance to do it. We've already given them 300,000. Did we not fund you properly? That was the question we needed to ask. But we couldn't get questions about ARPA. Why? The administration didn't know how much is in ARPA. They didn't know. We had questions about the DPW, the WIN funds. Who's going to pay for all these sidewalks, service lines to be replaced? In the absence of us having a DPW director, the city administration, there's a DPW director. He didn't have an answer. So how are your restoration? If your sidewalk is still out there and they put that little red flag that's now probably weathered and torn and tattered, it used to be red and now it's pink, they didn't have an answer. So I'm asking the questions that the residents ask me, because those are the questions that we have to be transparent about. The pension bailout. I will not tell retirees I didn't do my due diligence with asking. You served your time. Thank you for your service, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to make sure on my job on city council is to make sure you're getting paid monthly. I can't imagine telling a senior citizen, a person who's worked and they did their time, you 78 or 81 or 82, and you got to go back to work because the city of Flint mishandled its pension fund because they didn't handle it. Thank you. This was dated. This was dated July 1st, 2022. Flint gets 170 funds. So July the 1st, 2022, it states Flint gets 170 million to its pension fund. Is it pulling back up, Mickey?
Yeah, I don't know why it won't.
Flint, hold on, it's right there now.
No, but it ain't coming on here.
Okay. It says Flint gets 170 million.
See how it's stuck right there? Let me try this one. Let me see if it came in first. It won't let it come on. I don't know why it won't do that.
Okay, well, can you put it up on the screen because I can read from here?
I got you. I'm gonna put the screen back on you. Hold on. Let me put it back on you and you can read it. I got you. 1 second.
So in this press conference, that was given by Mayor Neely. It states Flint, it knocked back off.
I got you. There we go. I got you.
Okay. Flint's pension system is an increasing drain on the city's budget and a threat to its insolvency. Is getting what's that on the is getting $170 million cash infusion from the state. Mayor Sheldon Neely said in a news conference on Friday, July the 1st, that the newly adopted state budget includes the funding that will help chip away at the $400 million liability in the pension system, bringing it closer to being funded at minimum levels. Now, if that article didn't make you think that we got that $170 million, and we didn't, Jane made it very clear at the meeting. It's on the recording. It's on the Spectacle TV. Yesterday's budget here, a budget adoption. We have to apply for it. She doesn't know how much we're getting, and it hadn't been applied for. As recently as May, Chief Financial Officer Robert Whittigan said Flint was facing insolvency without a substantial boost in revenue to help pay rising pension costs. This is going to help stabilize our structural deficit, said Neely, who said that the city will receive more funding in the new state budget than any time in Flint's history. Okay, Flint has gotten zero, zero, we haven't gotten anything. This is going to stabilize our structural deficit. We haven't received it. They just applied for it, Jane said Friday. The max is $170 million. That's the max. The mayor said he and other local and state officials will discuss how that funding will be applied to lessen the city's pension obligations in a roundtable meeting next week. This was almost I'm gonna say it was a year ago, because we're coming on July 1st in a couple of weeks. Flint hasn't gotten any of that money. Where is the pension money? Where is that pension bailout? They said it was $220 million. Then they stated, Jane said, hey, the max we can get, the max that we can apply for, apply. She's not saying receive, and she's very clear. We can apply for is $170 million. Somebody is not telling the truth. I didn't write these articles. These are not my press releases. I let Jane speak for herself. I let her speak, and we asked the questions in the public forum at a public meeting, like it's supposed to be done, to inform the public. This is not being transparent. How are we saying we're passing a balanced budget when we haven't gotten the pension money? We don't know what's in ARPA. These are very real things. People got to start asking the questions. You come to council. I'm putting up the documents so you can go back and research yourself. You don't have to take my word for it, because I'm giving factual information. It's not my word on it at all. So we talk about, people leaving. A lot of people leave. I think the only one that couldn't leave, who tried, was Attorney Kim. He tried to leave. You got that article? We gave him in April 2022, he was appointed chief legal officer. On November 2022, he had applied for a job in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So Kalamazoo announces 3 finalists for city attorney job.
You don't have to read the article.
I won't let it come out. No. So in this, it states, says the finalists, it says the city of Kalamazoo announced Wednesday 3 finalists for the city attorney job. The finalists are William Kim, Julianne Pastula, and James Porter, according to the agenda for next week's city commission meeting released November 23rd. So even Attorney Kim, he didn't even do a year as the city attorney, and he was ready to bail. He was ready to go, but he did not get the Kalamazoo job. So Attorney Kim is still currently with us. He is still with us. So they can't blame this on council. We don't see these people work with them daily. We just don't. They work with this administration. And the frustration from the people who have said, one, a lot of the women say it's difficult to work with Mayor Neely and his management style, that he's a micromanager. A lot of them who have left. There are a lot of women, and it's difficult to work with him. I'm speaking out from my own experience. I'm speaking out for the women who can't talk, who are department heads who wish they could talk. The women who are department heads who text me, who called me and let me know. So when we talk about this budget, we have some real problems. The pension fund, the ARPA fund, big problems. Where is that money? Jane stated at the meeting last night that we had to apply. Nothing in those articles stated we had to apply to get it. They made everyone feel that that money was in the bank, that it was good. Those articles let residents of the city of Flint breathe a sigh of relief that that money was there to ease the tension and the financial issues that Flint had had with this pension system. The truth last night, we don't have that money. We have to apply for that money. And the max we can get is 170 million. So when we talk about why we did not pass a budget, this administration came unprepared, better word, ill prepared, to answer questions that council had. They did not come with their laptops. They did not have their contracts or questions that we were asking about contracts. And they did not have all the department heads. You cannot have a budget adoption and not have those key people there. Every administration prior to Mayor Neely's administration had every single department head there. Don't take my word. It's on YouTube video, Spectacle TV. You've watched it. Some of you watched it on Channel 17. Don't take my word. Go back and look at it. Google it. Put it in YouTube search. City of Flint's budget adoption meeting. Every administration has had all the department heads except for Mayor Neely's. We didn't have all the department heads there. And we had questions as council. We have a meeting coming up this Thursday at 5:30. It will be posted. If you have questions, there's public speaking. You need to be there. If you have a pension with the city of Flint, you need to be there. If you are concerned about the millages, the millage that's there to raise the taxes, they are stating our tax assessor wasn't there. Hopefully they'll have her there. You need to be there. You need to let this administration know that you're not going to kick the can down the road to insolvency and just let us believe that what you tell us is true. Because in those articles that we were getting that 170 million, it said it's on its way. Flint is receiving. Flint hasn't received anything. Jane said we have to apply. So we better wake up and we need to pay attention. These are serious times and serious issues. It is not the fault of this council. This administration came unprepared, and no other administration in the history of Flint, which was established in 1855, have department heads and key department people that weren't there for the budget adoption. They should have been there. They should have been there. So in the absence of leadership, you will have chaos. And this budget is chaotic and it's not transparent. I'm going to do my job and I'll be there on Thursday. I want to make sure everyone will be there. I want to thank everyone out there for your time because I wanted to clear it up. I wanted to make sure I was able to answer some questions. And Mickey, do you see any questions that were in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, you got some. Mr. Arthur Woodson said, "Where's the opioid money at?"
We don't know. That's another one. That's a very good question. We were given, I believe, that first was 8.8 million that we received for the opioid money. We don't know where the 8.8 million opioid money is at. We don't know. We didn't have everyone there to answer questions.
I see Brother Derek Smart, so they're already talking about financial oversight from what I heard from where I'm at is coming.
And I don't know, and I can't speak to them. We that meeting last night, I'm gonna speak to the facts. we have to find out. We need that I thought it was 220 million. Then it went back to 170 million. Go ahead.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. So, like, I'm confused. Like, which one is it?
We're all confused.
They
It was
said even the governor.
right. We were told last night, Jane, that the max we can apply for is 170. So we don't have it. The max we can apply for is 170 million to offset our pension liability debt.
Wow. Okay. It was Adams Barr brought up Clark Commons. All of us in Flint are going to be in trouble because probably our taxes are going up. I guess going up.
That budget has went over, and the money that they're taking out of that, we got come to the meetings. That one. You scrolling quick.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine. Clark Commons budget has went over. If we don't finish this project, we have to pay the federal government back. Their first infusion was $30 million under the Weaver administration, and then there's been some more increments of money. And if we don't finish the project, we have to give money back to the federal government. So we are under obligation to finish and complete that project.
Okay, I see. Derek Smart said Ashley Capital said it might give 23K jobs. It's not promised according to the AP.
That's just the estimate. That is correct.
Okay.
That's just the estimate. And they estimate jobs because I asked per square footage. So that number, it's going to fluctuate. So, well, Mickey, I'm going to tell you, I appreciate this.
Okay.
I received numerous calls from different TV stations, different journalists, print and TV. And I wanted to share everything with the residents because the residents are who matter. I'm not going to give you I'm gonna give you the truth and the facts is what I'm gonna give you. And there was a press release released out because Mayor Neely tends to make press releases, negative ones about me, by the way, when he stated that Tonya Burns is the problem on the council, and then he stated that the problems that happened yesterday were based on the persons from, he blamed number 6, which is me. No, I'm not the problem. My problem is this administration came ill prepared. They weren't prepared. And you cannot run a city when you know budget adoption comes every year and not be prepared. They have a responsibility to be prepared. This administration wasn't prepared. The unscrupulous way that this administration is forcing the city council to pass this unknown budget is egregious. Again, the way this administration is asking city council to pass this unscrupulous budget, or this is a mystery budget because we don't know.
You got a good question on this one. I'll put it up there.
Okay.
Is it a charter violation that the budget had to be adopted last night and was not? I guess was not. He said was not. I thought first Monday in June was deadline.
David Allen, you are correct. It is a charter violation. And that could hold a severe penalty. I believe it was stated that we may have to write letters to the ethics committee. It could go as far as if they don't get the right answers, which listen, if they don't have the right answers for what's happening with that ARPA budget, because that's the people's money, we'll have to take it to court. This administration owes us answer. I want to know about that pension money. When are we getting it? And I want to know about that ARPA budget. And why is ARPA important? Because it's helping to cover other items in the budget. So if we're pulling in, like if there's a shortfall in the police department budget, we're pulling from the ARPA budget to put into the police department budget. We're pulling from the ARPA budget. They want 5 new fire trucks. Where's that money coming from for the 5 new fire trucks? If it's coming from ARPA, we need the fire chief there. The police chief to add into his witness protection program, we need the police chief. If we need to use money for restoration for DPW, we need the DPW director to tell us. So I'm going to fight you. Hey, I think the worst they said is we'd have to go to court or they put us in jail. If I go to jail for asking for a balanced budget and the ARPA balance, y'all put some money on my books for me. Put some money on my books because I'm going to keep asking the questions that we all deserve answers. The residents deserve the answers. So if we have to, I guess, go to jail, I have never been to jail, and I'm not trying to go there at 54. Listen, but I'm going to go for this. Y'all put some money on my books, okay? Listen, let me get some likes. If y'all going to put some money on my books, look, give me some likes now. Give me some likes. Y'all need to share this because this is serious. I mean, and it is a charter violation, and it carries a heavy weight. So David asked a very good question. Well, I don't see nobody saying they gonna put no money on my books.
Your likes going.
Oh, they going up. Okay.
They gonna get you.
They gonna get me out. They gonna get me out. Because I want the people who can't. The ARPA money is supposed to help people who got these tarps on their roofs. And somebody made the statement that where does it stop if we helping people? Saginaw put roofs on people's homes. Flint hasn't put one roof on anybody's home. Saginaw put furnaces in people's homes. Flint hasn't put one furnace in anybody's home. Oh, listen, that's right, y'all, because I might be going because if I don't get them answers. And please, that first part where Miss Inez Brown said, not ever in any administration has she seen, in Mayor Neely's administration, last year, not one person came to the budget adoption. Not one. She said, and she had been there since 1997, and she had followed and lived in Flint her whole life, just about. She said she had never seen that. So we have to be careful. Mickey, I appreciate you tonight. Mickey didn't listen, y'all. Mickey didn't say he was gonna put no money on my books.
No, I gotta get out too.
You gotta get out too.
I'm gonna be there recording y'all.
Oh, you're gonna be there recording.
I'm gonna mess around and get locked up just because I know y'all.
Because you know it. And you listen, you know what? And it's serious. It was disheartening that the basic questions were they should be able to grab their laptop and say, hey, this is the ARPA balance. We couldn't get that question. We couldn't and we didn't. And we had missing key department heads. So I put it up, and if they want to challenge the information, let them do it. Go back and watch the budget adoption hearing yesterday, our meeting yesterday. We have another meeting this Thursday at 5:30. I don't know if it'll be at the Dome or it's going to be I think it's going to be at the county. We've been having it at the county. So if you got questions, if you want to know where the budget is at in the Flint City Charter, which my copies are all written over, because that's what I do. I'm a note taker. That begins on page 61 for finance. Article 7, finance, page 61. So if you want to read on that, which tells us about the deadlines, it's important. We need to all come together for this. I want everybody to have a good evening. Mickey, thank you for, I guess you co-host with me.
Man, sometimes I'm like Papa John's. I got to make the pizza, cook the pizza, deliver.
You got to do it all. You got to do it all. Listen, Flint, we are a resilient community, but we deserve transparency. And if you aren't receiving transparency, or if your council person isn't asking the same questions, call your council person, because everything I stated was a fact. You got questions, call your council person, ask them. But I'm sharing the information with you because we are all one Flint. I love Flint, and I choose Flint. And Flint, I want y'all to have a good night. Mickey, we out. Peace. See y'all.